Well, good morning everyone and welcome to the show. Fernando, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm wonderful, thanks for asking. Ooh, a box. We're gonna get to that in a minute. This is a Toyota Tundra. We're not gonna be working on that today. Bummer, I'm sorry. Instead, we're gonna be talking about a tool. More specifically, a group of tools. We just went to Knowledge Fest, what, a month ago?
A month ago.
And while we were there, we talked with Brian Schmidt. He runs Mobile Solutions. Now, Mobile Solutions does a couple things. One, they sell tools that help you do installation, all types of installation, not just custom fab, but the PT9A, the speaker popper, this thing right here, PAA3X, little tiny polarity tester, amongst other things. They sell things like that. But what's in this box is a little different. One of the things we do on this channel and in the install bay is we build a lot of speaker panels, because factory speakers are no longer just like it's round there, but that's where it ends. Now this is out of a Ford, and we're lucky because as you can see it's perfectly flat all the way across. But what happens if it's something like this? As you can see, there's a taper to it. See, it's thinner here and it's fatter here. In the past, what we would do and what most people do is they just router out, well, okay, what we would do is we'd router out this shape and you just have a flat panel. We wouldn't replicate that taper. Today that all changes. So in the box is a bunch of pieces that are going to help us make better speaker baffles for the door. The first thing up is what they call the animal. Now the animal is a multi-part piece. Let me show you some of the parts. So we started to assemble it here. So this is the first part. This started out as a safety shield, and we've already put one handle on. We're gonna go ahead and show you how to put this handle on, and then we'll talk some more about it. Now to do that, it comes with an Allen and a lock nut here, and you need, of course, an Allen and a 11mm socket. So we'll go ahead and thread these in. Now there is flush mount here, so as you can see it flushes in, so it's a V cut. We'll go ahead and thread these through and tighten that up. Now the screw itself, there again, the plexi isn't threaded, it doesn't need to be, it's just perfectly machined so that this goes in nice and tight, and then it's this thick here so you get no wobble, because you want to make sure these handles, they don't wobble. Put the handle through, put your lock nut on. Now if you've never seen a lock nut, basically it just has this nylon insert in it here so that it doesn't unscrew once you tighten it up. Now what you're going to want to do is go ahead and put your Allen key back into it and then tighten it up. And of course repeat it on that one. Alright, so now that we have the other handle on it, you kind of get an idea of what it is. It's a shield. This little hole here, so that when you're doing a project, it doesn't vacuum to the table, meaning like this has a vacuum attached to it, this big thing, and without, well, you know what? I have an idea. Why don't we just show you how this works? What we got going on here is this is a template for a Toyota. We've already gone ahead and put template tape on both sides. We have our piece of plastic we're going to attach it to. First thing we want to do is go ahead and attach this to here. Alright, so now what we want to do is before we attach it to this, we don't want the router bearing here to scratch into this. We want to go ahead and set our height so that the bearing is below our top piece. Now in some cases, if this is not thick enough, you may have to add, now in some cases if this isn't thick enough, like the gap between the bearing and the actual cutting bit is thicker, you may have to add another piece onto here so that this doesn't get dug into. Not the case here. So we'll go ahead and peel this off and we'll stick it onto this. Now you want to try to get your piece that you're cutting in the middle of this. So take that circle, that's the middle, and put it here in the middle of what you're routering out. Push it on there nice and tight. Now if we're going to be cutting out the center of this, that's what that hole's for, so that we don't create a vacuum when we turn on our vacuum, because then we wouldn't be able to move it around. This will allow air to still get in there. But for this, we're just going to router out the outside, so we'll turn on our vacuum. So now we have an exact copy of the Toyota baffle we were making, and we were able to do it without getting our fingers anywhere near this, because routers hurt. Trust me, I know. what we need to do is we need to go ahead, in this case, we're gonna go ahead and remove this off. For that, we're gonna use their cool pry tool. We wanna remove it off of the base so that we can then go back and drill in our holes. So in this case, this has these 4 holes. We'd want to go ahead and drill those. And then we have to figure out what size speaker we want to put in here. Could fit a 6x9, a 6.5, whatever. But at that point, that's what we would do next. And that's the next part of this. Obviously, we have a bunch of guides up here, and you've seen us use some circles before, but they also make circles. Here we have a bunch of circles, and these are all different sizes for what we're trying to do. So we have smaller circles, bigger circles, but the one we want is right here, the 6 5/8. So we're gonna go ahead and remove that, and this is what we wanna go ahead and put into our shape here. So now what we need to do is we need to remove our template from it, which for that we'll go ahead and use the same pry tool. Now, you never want to reuse template tape. Always go ahead and pull it back off. Template tape is cheap. Plastic is more expensive, and of course your fingers, they're irreplaceable. Now what we want to do is we're going to go ahead and put some template tape onto here, and if you notice, this has all these little marks on it. These are to center it up, so if you have an XY axis that you're going to use, you know, where you found the perfect center, then you can line these up to help you find that, or if you have screw locations that you want to find, they'll be here also. We'll go ahead and get this fastened onto here. Now, these little pieces of tape that are on the inside like that, you're going to want to go ahead and cut those out because you don't want to get that goo on the bearing. Now go ahead and take a drill bit and drill a hole through it. Now the ride height on your router bit is all set and ready to go because this is the same thickness of what we cut out before. But always double check it, go ahead and set it on. Make sure your bearing lines up with your template and that it is cleared to where it will cut the material. Go ahead and take it back off and turn everything on. Now we'll go ahead and pry the circle off. And now we have a perfect rear speaker plate for a Toyota to drop in a 6.5. When you're making one of these, don't just make one at a time. Use template tape and stack 2 pieces on top of one another, so when you're done, you'd actually have 2 and you'd be all set. We just made one because, well, it's not going in this car and it was easier to show you guys. Yep. So this was purpose 1 of the animal. This was actually one of the more important things we wanted to get it for, was for safety. You get a little pucker factor when you're using a router bit. It's a bit much. Any chance I get to make the job a little bit safer is definitely a plus. You can buy just the safety shield by itself. I recommend it strongly. It's worth it, especially if you're doing a lot of routering. Using a bit like this, where you're notching into the material, this is a godsend for sure. Alright guys, that's the end of part 1, the safety shield. On the next video, we're going to go ahead and show you how to make those cool speaker baffles that are not flat like this one. So be looking forward to that video. As usual, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you later next time.
Bye.
Bye.